Hello everybody, welcome to the intro to this video. Just gonna try to be real brief with this because I already recorded this intro once and it wasn't good. So, as you saw from the title, the premise of this video is me rereading two books that I read in high school from John Green, one that I greatly enjoyed, one that I kind of enjoyed, and then reading two books that I was intended on reading from John Green. And then at the end we're going to decide if John Green books are for me or not, because I've been thinking about reading Turtles All the Way Down, so I'm reading some of his older work first before I venture into that, although I know that I think Turtles All the Way Down is much different than what the rest of his stuff is. First portion is going to be me rereading two books that I read in high school. The first book is The Fault in Our Stars. Hose patches his butt. I gave The Fault in Our Stars 5 stars when I was in high school. 5 stars. I put 5 stars on Goodreads when I finally added it to my Goodreads a couple of years later. But I quite enjoyed this book. I read it when I was 13. I wasn't even technically in high school, but we'll just say that I was because the other book I was in high school when I went to go read it. Yeah, so I read this book because I jumped on the hype of everybody else reading this book and the movie was coming out, and so I was like, I need to read this book because everybody loves it. Fault in Our Stars. Read it, loved it. Now we're going to see if I love it still. Other book that I read, Looking for Alaska. I'll put the cover here. When I read Looking for Alaska, I wasn't really interested in it. I read it because it was I'm pretty sure it was one of my friend's favorite books, and she really wanted me to read it, and I didn't, hate it, but I also didn't love it when I read it that time, and it was mainly because I didn't like Alaska. So, Looking for Alaska. We'll see if I like Alaska this time around. Then, moving on to the reading portion, I picked two books that I had always intended on reading. One of them I saw the movie to, but I never got around to reading them. I borrowed a shit ton of books from people in high school, and I had a stack of them on the floor and had a bunch of John Green books because all of my friends were like, here, John Green books, borrow them from us and you can read all of John Green books because John Green's great. So I was like, okay, well, I like The Fault in Our Stars. Looking for Alaska was okay. Why not? I'll give it a try. So the first book I tried to read was Abundance of Catherines. Only thing I know about this book is the main character has dated many girls named Catherine, and they have all dumped him. That's all I know about this book. When I first tried to read it, I remember being bored when I tried to read it, so hopefully this time around I'm not bored when I try to read it. The other book is Paper Towns, which I never really knew what this book was about when I borrowed it. I was just like, oh, it's a John Green book. I'll read it. And then the movie came out, and I never read the book, but I went and saw the movie with my friends anyways because it was one of their books that they liked, so they were like, Kira, you should go see Paper Towns with us. And I was like, okay, I'll go see Paper Towns with you. I don't remember, totally hating the movie, but I also remember being a little confused. I didn't understand why at the end. But yeah, so that's Paper Towns. Those are the two that I plan on reading for the first time, and then Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska. I'm planning on reading again. It's been 10 years since I've read them. My opinions on books have greatly changed. I'm a lot more critical on reading books. I don't read as much romance as I used to, but I think it's because I'm far more picky about the romance that I read now than I was when I was younger. Now I will let Vlog Kira take it away. Hello, hey, welcome to the beginning of me rereading John Green books I read in high school, plus two that I always intended on reading. Very long video title, have not figured out how to make it shorter yet. But I'm starting with The Fault in Our Stars. I just figured I would update you guys. I literally went through and just marked off where 100-page marks are because I was going to try to bust through this one pretty fast because I know that I'll probably enjoy this one because I liked this one the first time that I read it, and I think it's rated 5 stars on my Goodreads. The Fault in Our Stars. Let's see how far I get tonight, and I will update you guys again tomorrow. Hello! My hair almost looks like it's white. Anyways, update on The Fault in Our Stars. I am 100 pages into this. 105 pages into it. I'm on chapter 7. And I am deeply confused by past me. I have a couple thoughts. I struggled to get through the first 100 pages of this book. It was incredibly boring to me. I don't know if it was just because when I was 13, I was swept up in the whole I love romance books sphere of things, and I didn't care about all of the boring parts in the books because I just wanted to get to the romance parts, and I would just read for hours and hours and it didn't bother me. And now I'm more picky when it comes to books. Or if this was always just boring and I was just in denial when I read it. I don't know what it was. Last time I read this book I was 13. I'm 22 now, so it's been almost 10 years since I've read this book. That could be saying one thing. But my problem with this book is they don't talk like teenagers. Why did I not ever like notice this? I read this as a fresh teenager myself and didn't realize that they literally don't talk like teenagers. They talk so sophisticated that it brings me out of the story sometimes when they say stuff because I don't understand what the words mean and I have to look them up. I shouldn't have to look up the word because it's so out of left field that I don't understand what the fuck it means. Also, Augustus is kind of really full of himself. And I didn't notice it until now. And I don't like it. I love Hazel. I will always love Hazel. She's very morbid. She's a little almost too morbid for my liking, but I very much like her approach to just being a sourpuss the entire time. I think it's funny. Just something about this book, it was a struggle for me to get through the first 100 pages. And I was really excited because I thought that, oh, I'll just read this one and then I'll be like, oh, I loved it like I did last time. 5 stars, and then move on to reading the other books that I have to read. But this one's a slog. And now I'm worried that if the one that I liked in the beginning isn't good, that what does that mean for the other ones when I go to read them? Is this whole video just going to be me bored out of my mind reading these books? Or am I going to find a new favorite? Because I'm disappointed. I did highlight some stuff that I thought was funny. Oh, right. I highlighted this one quote. I know this book came out in 2012, so maybe it's just, well, it's still 2012. I don't know. Hazel Grace says it's kind of a boy movie. I don't know why boys expect us to like boy movies. We don't expect them to like girl movies. And that just didn't sit right with me because in my opinion, there's no such thing as a boy or a girl movie. There's just movies across the board. I don't like it when people put genders on things like that. Like the, oh, this is a boy color. Oh, this is a girl thing. Oh, that's boy clothes. Like anything can be put on anybody. Anybody can like a movie. Doesn't make you a girl if you like romance movies. Doesn't like make you a boy if you like action adventure movies. Because I like both of those things and I am not a boy. So, that bugged me. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like when Isaac's girlfriend breaks up with him, Augustus is like, he needs some female advice because I don't know how to help him. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I'm supposed to be getting to 209, so chapter 13 today. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm just really concerned because the other books I have to read, the only one I think that ever really interests me a lot was Paper Towns. So hopefully I at least enjoy Paper Towns. Anyways, that's the update for this. I'll see you guys after I read some more of this book. I don't really want to read any more of it. I don't want to read it anymore. Okay, ignore my boobs. Anyways, it's August 1st. We're talking about The Fault in Our Stars. I finished this book today. I gave this book 2 stars. I am confused and was very bored reading this, which I know people are probably going to come for me for this. I didn't like this book. I liked it a lot when I was 13. 13 me loved this book. It was my identity. I even started painting my nails blue like Hazel. I forgot what her name was for a second. Reading this book now as a 22-year-old and not a 13-year-old, these are my thoughts. I thought it was very boring. 1, it took me way longer to get through the last 80 pages of this book than it needed to be. I got distracted so many times because I was bored, which is sad because it's about kids with cancer, and you think that I'd be like emotional and crying, but I wasn't emotional. It's probably because I knew it was coming this time. I normally don't really cry when I read books anyways. Number 2, I absolutely despise Gus and his obsession with cigarettes. The want to put the killing stick between your teeth but not to give it the power, blah, 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 whatever. You're still giving a multi-million-dollar corporation or whatever money to make these things that can give you lung cancer, and the girl that you are infatuated with literally cannot breathe because she has lung cancer. Anyways, it annoyed me. All of the metaphors really took me out of the story. The way that they talk really takes me out of the story because they talk like I'm talking to a college professor and not like it's the thought process of a 16-year-old girl and her 17-year-old boyfriend. Which I understand that there are people who are very well read, just very smart in general, and have a very wide vocabulary. But they're still teenagers. And that's the part that bugs me. Gus is so full of himself that it makes me want to punch myself in the face. I love Hazel and how morbid she is to a certain extent. I think it's funny that she is very much just like, yeah, we're gonna die and that's the end of it. But also at the same time, there's some moments where it's not funny and you think like, well, read the room, woman. You don't need to be saying this. I just didn't enjoy it as much this time as I did the first time that I read it. I guess waiting 10 years to read the book probably wasn't the best idea. That's my thought process on The Fault in Our Stars. Moving on to second reread. I started reading Looking for Alaska yesterday. And I'm enjoying Looking for Alaska more than I enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars, which I was not expecting because I don't remember liking Looking for Alaska as much as I liked The Fault in Our Stars the first time. I brought it through my library. I'm 22% of the way into it. I'm on page 62 out of 270. I got to a certain point where I had to stop reading because I was like, okay, this is too much. I don't understand Miles' infatuation with Alaska, but I also didn't understand it the first time I read this book, so that could probably play into it. Alaska is just written as this very mood swing heavy neurotic person, but she's a girl, so it's just okay to say that she's crazy because Miles's roommate Chip constantly just says that she's crazy. And at 70% of the time when Miles is around her, he describes what her boobs look like in her shirt, which I feel like is a perfect way to know that this was written by a man. I have no ill will against John Green. I love John and Hank Green. Hank Green pops up on my TikTok. I used to watch the Log Brothers. Nothing against them. And I'm back. My camera died. Anyways, nothing against John Green. I just don't need the constant reminder that her boobs are straining against her tank top. She has boobs. They're there. Okay. And also, I don't understand Miles' like immediate obsession with her. He like sees her and is like, this is the hottest girl I've ever seen. And then she's like, you're adorable. And he's like, oh my god, this is the hottest girl I've ever seen. And she thinks I'm adorable. I'm in love. And now he's just obsessed with her. And it's eating at my brain. Anyways, that's how my rereads are going right now. I'm going to try to finish Looking for Alaska sometime between today and tomorrow, so then we can move on to Paper Towns and Abundance of Catherines, which I think they're both from guys' points of views, so let's just pray that I don't get more descriptions of girls' boobs, because I'm tired of reading about girls' boobs. I'm bisexual, and I'm tired of reading about girls' boobs. Never thought that would be a sentence out of my mouth. I will see you guys when I have another update. This is update for Looking for Alaska. We are, what is it? It is 4:16 p.m. on Monday, August 2nd, and I am 62% of the way through Looking for Alaska and want to stab both of my eyeballs out. Rip them out of my head. I have officially reached the part where if you haven't read Looking for Alaska and want to skip this, spoiler, where she dies. And Miles is a dramatic bitch. Holy shit. Your roommate, Chip, has been friends with this girl since freshman year, and you feel like you have more of a right to be upset just because you fell in love with her fucking tits. Like, what? He's constantly just obsessed with the fact that he almost slept with her before she left, when she didn't even give you a good reason why she left, and you guys told her to go get in the car and drive even though she was drunk. You knew the girl for all of, because this starts at like 150 days. You knew this girl for 5 months. And in the span of a week, you fell in love with her. And then for the next fucking 4.5 months, you obsessed over her. I also really don't like the cheating aspect that happens. Why is this something that happens in books? She has a boyfriend. She constantly talks about how she has a boyfriend. Will tell Miles, well, they call him Tudge, will tell Miles that he's cute, and then will immediately follow that with, too bad I have a boyfriend. If you like him, and you think he's cute, and you keep on making advances at him and stuff, and you have a boyfriend, then break up with your fucking boyfriend. Like, oh, why are you going after this other guy when you have a boyfriend? Literally, he comes into your room, you guys drink wine together, and you ask to play truth or dare, and you just got flowers from your boyfriend because it's your guys' fucking anniversary, and the first thing you dare him to do is to hook up with you. Why? Why? Please, someone tell me. Why? Just break up with your boyfriend, and then hook up with him. Cause like, I don't understand. My brain's broken. It's broke, guys. It broke. John Green broke my brain. I plan on trying to finish Looking for Alaska tonight. That's where I am with this, and I will see you guys in the next update. Hi. Don't look at me like that, Archie. I finished Looking for Alaska. It is 9:06 p.m. It's still July 2nd. July 2nd? August 2nd. Well, my brain's shutting down on me. It's probably because I finished looking for Alaska. My brief thoughts on this book are, it was boring. Miles is very selfish and thinks that Alaska's death only affected him when it affected every person that she knew, every person that she was friends with. He's not the only one who's suffering from the fact that she died, so I think it's really, okay Archie, I think it's really shitty of him to think that Chip doesn't have the right to be upset about Alaska, and his way of coping was trying to figure out why she did what she did, like why she got in her car accident. And him just completely ignoring Laura for like a whole month? What was that? That's so fucked up. Like, I understand that Alaska died, but then you just made it to where Laura had to deal with the death of her friend and the fact that her boyfriend was just ignoring her for no reason and she didn't even know what happened. All in all, I just think that Miles is a shitty person and Alaska was a shitty person and Chip's a shitty person and they're all kind of just really shitty people. And the book was really boring and I'm really don't understand why John Green wants to put such large questions into the minds of teenagers. Because the big large question, like in The Fault in Our Stars, the large question is like fearing the oblivion and like some affinities are bigger than other affinities and like shit like that. And this one, the big question is, how do we survive the labyrinth? I don't know. I just think that he puts a little too much weight into the words of some of these teenagers that he's writing. Almost like it's been a long time since he's been a teenager and is really out of touch and doesn't actually understand that like teenagers more care about like, oh no, who's gonna like my outfit when I go to school tomorrow? And like, am I going to ace my test? Did I study enough? Like stuff like that. Not like, oh, how am I gonna survive the labyrinth of life? What is, like, how do I get out of the labyrinth? Like, no. They're just like, oh no, does anybody notice that my shoes match my shirt today? That's the mundane shit that teenagers are worried about. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Looking for Alaska. I'm officially done with the rereading portion, and it's time for me to move on to the reading portion. Hello, hi. It is, what's today? August 4th. 3:50 in the afternoon. Now I have come to update you guys on my adventure of reading these books. So I have been struggling to get into Abundance of Catherine's for the past 2 days. I am 23%. I'm 23% of the way into this book, and I told myself that I wasn't allowed to DNF it until I at least got to the 30% mark, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the 30% mark. I think 23% is a pretty good spot. I'm DNFing this book. I can't do it. I can't finish this one. I don't like the main character. He is very full of himself and he has his obsession with girls named Catherine. He keeps on referring to the recent one that broke up with him as Catherine 19 and has referred to the first Catherine that he dated when he was in like 3rd grade, and that's it. I haven't heard anything else about the rest of the Catherines. In the beginning of the book, it all happened very fast. You meet the main character. You find out that he's been dumped. He wallops in his self-pity and makes himself so upset to the point where he throws up. Then you meet his best friend. His best friend shows up, tells him that he's being a little bitch, and that the only way to cheer him up is if they go on a road trip. So then him and his best friend convince his parents and his best friend's parents that they should go on a road trip. They have just graduated high school, he just got broken up with, and he's having struggles because he was super smart when he was younger, and everybody called him a child prodigy. He's not living up to his potential now, because I guess child prodigies, once they hit like 16 and 17, the rest of the people that are their age start to catch up with them, with how smart they are if they haven't done something great with themselves. And he hasn't made his aha moment of like, holy shit, I'm a genius, inventing the light bulb or inventing a new mathematical equation or something like that. So he thinks that he's a failure. So then him and his friend jump in his car and drive, and then the next couple pages after that are literally just describing them driving, him trying to keep his mind off of the fact that his girlfriend broke up with him, more driving, and then they decide to go visit the grave of this archduke or whatever, meet this girl named Lindsay, and then Lindsay's mom recognizes the main character, Colin, because he was on some game show when he was in like high school or whatever, and he won, and so then she invites him and his friend to her house for dinner because she recognizes him off this game show. And as they're driving to the house, the girl Lindsay explains that her family owns the factory in their small town that has created all the jobs, and the factory makes tampon strings. So her family's really rich. And then somewhere during their dinner, her mom offers him and his friend a job to work. And that's where I kind of left off. Right now, Lindsay is giving him her, like, sad story about how she, like, wasn't fat, but people didn't like her in middle school, and so she decided to become goth because it made her different. But then she just realized that if you act, like, nice and also, like, kind of mean, then, like, anybody will just think that you're popular. I don't know. I'm imagining that him and this girl Lindsay will end up together by the end of the story, because then it will break his cycle of just dating Catherines. He likes Catherines because their name can be anagrammed in a certain way, or he has like some certain like logical reason why he only dates girls who are named Catherine. I don't remember how he explained it, but basically a lot happens just right away. And it was very confusing to me. And then there's just a lot of like talking about things that I don't care about. It reminds me of in Looking for Alaska, every time Miles is in his class of the, like his last class of the day where it talks about religion, that is then where you get just like the entire lecture that happens in the class. Like you get paragraphs upon paragraphs of the teacher lecturing the students. But since in Abundance of Catherines, the main character Colin is a child prodigy, you just get him randomly spitting off facts because he just knows the stuff because he's a genius. And his friend will go, not interesting, if it's not an interesting topic. And Colin very much appreciates his friend because it has taught him how to communicate with people, because he doesn't know when to not just spout off facts. I can't do it. I don't like Colin as a character. I don't like his friend. His friend is fucking weird. And I am tired of reading the analytical main character. I'm tired of that. The moment that he started trying to explain why he constantly gets dumped by girls with Catherines in a mathematical equation, that's where I dipped out. I was like, I can't do it. I don't need to be reading books for pleasure and then have you throwing mathematical equations at me when I haven't been in school for 4 years. So that's where I am with that. I'm DNFing Abundance of Catherines.
I also forgot to mention in Abundance of Catherines that Colin and his friend make fun of people with Tourette's. Colin pretends to have Tourette's, and then they make jokes about it, and I just thought that was really insensitive because it's a neurological disorder that people cannot control.
Now I'm moving on to Paper Towns. I've started Paper Towns. I'm only a couple pages into it. So far, the main character just seems like he's obsessed with the girl who lives across the street from him. So, like a Miles, but without the obsession with finding his great perhaps, and the obsession with figuring out how to survive the labyrinth of life. I will update you with Paper Towns when I get far enough in it that I have more opinions than that. I don't really have much opinions. So far, it's not terrible. I thought Paper Towns was going to be the one that I enjoyed the most, and so far it seems like it might be going that direction. So, finger crossed that I enjoy Paper Towns. I will see you guys in my next update, which probably won't be until either later today or tomorrow. Bye. Ooh, my shoulder popped. Okay, let's talk about Paper Towns and hope my camera doesn't die while I'm doing it. I made myself finish Paper Towns today. I read it up until like the 80% mark last night, and I was like falling asleep with my phone in my hand. So I finished it today. I wrote down my thoughts, a Goodreads review, and I'm going to read you my review and then kind of add in my own tidbits from then on. So, starting off with my rating, I'm giving this book 3 stars. It's the best book that I read so far from John Green. I still have a lot of problems with it, but if I'm comparing it to how I felt after reading the other John Green books, this was my favorite. And it was the most, like, compelling for the majority of it. So, starting off with what I did like, I really enjoyed Quentin, Ben, and Radar's friendship. You could very clearly tell that they have been friends for a really long time and that they really care about each other, especially when at the very end, Radar and Ben are willing to skip their graduation to drive in a car for 24 hours to go find some girl they don't even care about for Quentin. Quentin has a part where he drives across town to go pick up Ben, from a party because he's super drunk after prom and takes him home. Quentin doesn't nearly go as above and beyond for them throughout the entire book as they do for him, which is slightly frustrating, especially considering that they're trying to be as supportive as they can while still living their lives without uprooting everything for some girl that they don't really know. But Quentin did. Quentin also has a very good relationship with his parents. They're deemed as, I know his mom's like psychologist or something that works with troubled kids, and then his dad is also like a therapist or something, so they both kind of like therapist him into talking to them, which I guess then makes them have a good relationship with him because they know what's going on in his life. But it also seems like they very much trust him and he very much trusts them, so he pretty much doesn't lie to them, and then when he does lie to them, since they trust him so much, they're just like, okay, cool, come back, be home whenever. So he kind of uses their trust to his advantage, but I like their relationship that they have besides the lying to them. And then my other thing that I really liked about the book was the first, I would say like 50 to 60% of the book was very fast-paced. It was very compelling. The book actually had some type of a plot, and you could tell like where it was going, but I think in lieu of having a plot, Quentin didn't really grow as a character throughout the book, and that's one of my biggest gripes with this book. So moving into the things that I didn't like about this book, number one, Margot has this thing where after she disappears, she apparently does this all the time because her parents are talking to this detective, and it's like the 5th time that they've talked to this detective about Margot leaving, where she leaves behind clues as if it's supposed to be a way to tell them, like, oh, this is where I am. Like, she ran away one time to Disney World because they're in Florida and left a Mickey Mouse doll in her bed as a clue to where she was supposed to go. But her parents, like, don't seem to care about her enough to want to look into her clues to find her. And now that she's 18, they can't report her as a missing child and have the police go get her and bring her back because she's a willing adult who willingly ran away. And so the police can't go and get her and make her come back because she's 18. So they're not really trying to do anything to find her because she clearly chose this for herself. It's not like she was kidnapped or anything. She was like, peace out, guys, and left. One of the clues that Quentin gets is this Walt Whitman poetry book where she highlighted certain things in a different color highlighter than what the rest of it was. So he took it as clues because there had been some other clues that led to the book. And he reads this book so many times that I got tired of seeing the title of this book pop up in the thing because he would just default back to it. He'd be like, and then I lay down in bed and read Walt Whitman's Song of whatever. I can't even remember what the book's called, which is funny because I got to the point where I almost wanted to highlight every time it showed up in the book so I could count, but then I decided not to do that to myself because I would have to have gone back, and I was already so far in. But it got to the point where I was waiting for him to suddenly just like discover her handwriting in the margin of the book because he had missed it so many times. She didn't actually write in the book, but with all the other clues that he overlooked, I would have expected it. Speaking of all the other clues that he overlooked, there are so many times where he will blatantly describe something when they get to a place that's supposed to be a clue, and then he'll go by himself, describe the thing, then bring Radar, Ben, and Lacey back later, and one of them will point at the thing and go, oh my god, Quentin, look. Quentin will go, oh my god, wow, guys, I didn't even see that. I'm like, but you did see it. You just didn't fucking open your eyes because it was right there, and you described it like 5 times, and you didn't put the things together? You didn't put it together? So that was frustrating. What else is there? Oh, Quentin's obsession with Margot is so bad to the point he doesn't understand why Radar and Ben also aren't all consumed in looking for her like Quentin is. It gets to the point where he ignores the things that his friends are talking about that they're interested in because he only cares about looking for Margot. I have some quotes specifically that I highlighted that I wanted to read because it was fucking frustrating watching him get mad at his friends because they weren't obsessed with trying to find Margot and throwing away the last month of school. They're literally going to graduate in a month, and he is like throwing it away to look for some girl that suddenly decided to take him on some whirlwind adventure over the night when the only other relationship that they've had is that she just lives across the street from him, and that's it. He is IMing his friends, and he wants to talk to his friend Ben about some new thing that he found out about Margot. Ben is like, sorry bro, prom is in 11 hours. I have to pick up my date in less than 9 hours, and I haven't even taken a shower. I need to pick up my tux. I have all this stuff that I want to do because Ben, like, from the beginning, before Margot even goes missing, Ben wants to go to prom. He wants to have the high school experience of being a senior and going to a senior prom and enjoying it. Quentin doesn't want to go to prom, but like Ben is very clearly wanting to go to prom from the beginning. Even after Margot leaves, Quentin is like obsessed with her to the point where he's mad that Ben still wants to go to because Margot's missing. Ben's not the one that cares about Margot. It's you, Quentin. He cares about going to prom. And so they're on this IM, and Ben is like, sorry, dude, any other time I would love to talk to you about Margot, but right now I'm trying to get ready for prom. Talk to you later. I'm literally getting ready to log off because I have to like get ready for everything. And so then Quentin goes to message his friend Radar and is like, dude, what's Ben's problem? And Quentin's like, sorry, I'm just pissed that he thinks prom is oh so important. Prom is important to Ben. I understand that Margot is important to you, but prom is important to Ben. And so then Radar says, you're going to be pretty pissed when you hear that the only reason why I'm up this early because I need to get ready and I haven't picked up my tux yet. Then Quentin says, Jesus Christ, seriously? And Radar says, Q, tomorrow and the next day and the day after that and all the days for the rest of my life, I'm happy to participate in your investigation, but I have a girlfriend. She wants to have a nice prom. I want to have a nice prom. It's not my fault that Margot Ross Spiegelman didn't want us to have a nice prom, which I'm very happy that Radar isn't afraid to just like call Quentin out. But every time he calls Quentin out, Quentin takes it the wrong way because immediately his thought process is, I didn't know what to say to that. He was right. Maybe she deserved to be forgotten. He's not saying that Margot deserves to be forgotten. He's just saying that for this day, this one day, Margot is not the thing that's important to him. Going to prom is important to him. It bugged me because this is constantly a problem for the rest of the book, where one of them is they're worried about something else, and Quentin is mad because they're not immediately just up in arms and ready to just constantly go on this hunt to go find Margot, like Quentin is. And it drives me nuts because they have other things that they're worried about, not the girl that lived across the street from you that you think's hot, who disappeared. I will give credit, though, to the fact that Quentin has known Margot since he was 2, and it wasn't love at first boobs, like with Looking for Alaska or The Fault in Our Stars. So at least he's known Margot for a long time. They met when they're 2. They're like 18 now, so he's known her for 16 years. So at least that way, his obsession with her can be a little bit more understandable because they used to hang out when they were kids, and he had a crush on her then. Now she's popular at school, so she's like the hot, popular girl. It makes a little bit more sense. My other gripe is, I like literally every other character in this book but Margot and Quentin, and the book is about Margot and Quentin. I would have rather this been in Honey Bunny Boy's head the whole story than Q's, because at least he could think about other things than Margot. Ben calls girls honey bunnies and honey bun. I don't know why. I feel like he thinks that it would be like an enduring thing to have a guy call you honey bunny, but every time he said it, it made me want to throw up. So there's that. And then also the last thing, my biggest gripe is the ending of this book. So Quentin spends this entire time throwing away the last month of school looking for Margot. She leaves these little clues that are clearly meant for him to find her. And then he figures out where she is. When they get there, she's mad that they showed up to find her. And it's like, you left all these clues for him to figure out where you were, and what do you think he was going to do? Just be like, oh, okay, Margot's in New York, now I can move on with my life because at least I know where she is? Like, no, you made it seem like you wanted him to come and find you, because all the other times that you have left these clues behind, it's because you wanted people to come and find you. So he came and found you. And then I'm just like, I don't understand why she's so upset about it, because she clearly knows that he likes her because she picked him to do her whole whirlwind adventure thing the night before she left, because she knew that he would do anything for her because he liked her. And then she had the audacity to be like, after everything that I did for you that night, when it was literally him stealing his parents' car and driving her around town so she could get revenge on people before she disappeared. How is that doing something for him? He's doing things for you. And then I'm upset because then we don't even get to know how like anybody else feels. You get Margaret going on this giant spiel about why she left and how she can't handle just doing the Monday thing of planning for the future and going to college and making money and blah, 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 and that she wants to go on adventures. And she tries to convince Quentin to go on adventures with her, and he says no because he wants to go to college and he wants to get a job and he wants to plan for his future. She was like, I'll write you and I'll text you. And then they like kiss and make out and they like sleep together. Not like they don't have sex. They like sleep together, like literally sleep. I wanted to see the aftermath of how everybody else felt about skipping graduation to go find her, to have her just turn around and be upset, because you just get like a little bit where like Lacey's upset because they drove all this time and she skipped graduation. Like, Radar and Ben say a few little snippy things to her, and then they walk out of the building. But, like, that's it. You don't get any of them talking to Quentin about how they feel following him to find this girl. And when Margot talks to Lacey, you just get Margot's side of the phone call because she calls Lacey from Quentin's phone. So I was just really disappointed because I feel like the ending wasn't wrapped up. It was just kind of like, oh, Margot's going her way and I'm going my way, and that's the end. And it's like, I would have preferred to at least seen a little bit of aftermath from you guys spending 24 hours in this car. Like, I got, literally, there was the entire 24 hours, it was like hour 1, you get like a paragraph explaining. I would have preferred, instead of the hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, and like a paragraph or two explaining the mundane time of them drinking energy drinks and peeing into beer bottles while they're on the road, to have used that page count to explain how everybody else felt after coming to get Margot, and Margot saying that she's not coming back with them. I would have preferred that. Anyways, I've talked for a long time. This video is going to be forever long. Yeah, so I will see you when I wrap up the end of this video. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the end of this video. I'm here to give you guys a wrap-up quick about my thoughts on this video. Hopefully this wrap-up isn't too long because this video is already longer than hell, and I don't want it to be much longer than it is. I pretty much have 2 questions I'm going to be asking myself for the end of this video, and I already know the answers to them. First question for myself is, did I find a new favorite book from reading these John Green books? And the answer to that is no. I think that's pretty clear considering the fact that I only gave 3 stars. Stars was my highest rating that I gave the entire time during this video. I even DNF'd one of the books. So definitely did not find a new favorite book, which is a little disappointing. And then question number 2 is, will I be continuing with John Green's books? And I think my answer to that has to be no. I just don't think I like the way that he writes his books. I don't really care for his main characters, and I noticed that he hinges very hard off the fact that his characters will grow as people, and you'll care about his characters, so there won't really have to be a plot in the book. But my problem with that is when I don't really care about the main characters, and then there's also no plot to the book, it's hard for me to care about reading it at all because I don't really have anything that I'm focusing on. Anyways, I won't be continuing with John Green's books. I kind of wanted to read Turtles All the Way Down, but after my struggles through some of his books, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Fergus, shh, I'm talking. I enjoyed filming this video. It was very fun to go back through and read these books, but I definitely don't think John Green is going to be an author that I'm going to continue reading from like now on till forever. Maybe I'll give him another try in 10 years. Wait another 10 years and give him another try. Maybe he'll let out more books by then and I'll like more of them. But until then, John Green is not my cup of tea. Yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize if I like hardcore shit on some of your favorite books, but also at the same time, it's my opinion. If I didn't like them, then I didn't like them. You can't really be too mad at me. I'm mad at me about it. If you made it to the end of this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you liked any of these books by John Green, whether it was 10 years ago like me, or you're reading them now in present day and they're not hitting the same way as you hoped they would, like when, bless you, like when you were 13, like me. If you enjoy seeing me and my face, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I try to post videos twice a week. If not, there'll at least be 1 video a week from me. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!